After death, Diane Lane finally breaks silence on Gene Hackman. Imagine a Hollywood mystery slowly unfolding, like the dim stage lights casting a glow on a red velvet curtain, where stories buried for decades are about to burst into the light. Gene Hackman, a man with an irresistible commanding presence, stepped away from the silver screen quietly, as if simply leaving the office after a long day. Diane Lane, fortunate enough to share the frame with this legend, chose silence, locking away memories of their time working together in a secret box no one dared to touch. People say their working relationship was nothing more than the cold professionalism of two colleagues, but recent whispers hint at something deeper, a simmering tension stretching across years, concealed behind polite smiles and distant gazes. When Gene retired, Diane didn't utter a word. When he passed away in 2025, she remained mute. Until one day, she unexpectedly spoke up. What did she say? And why did it take until he was gone forever for her to break through that wall of silence? Join me as we turn the pages of this enigmatic book. You won't be able to look away. Gene Hackman wasn't a man born into the spotlight. On January 30, 1930, in San Bernardino, California, he came into a world marked by the cracks of a broken family. His father abandoned him and his mother when he was just 13, leaving her to struggle through days with no answers. Unable to raise him alone, she sent Gene to live with his grandmother, a beginning that seemed destined to lead only to dark, dead ends. But fate couldn't hold back a spirit as resilient as his. At 16, fed up with a stifling existence, Gene threw himself into the U.S. Marine Corps, like a man seeking an escape in a storm. There, amidst smoke and steel discipline, he forged a powerful will, a fire that would later blaze through every role he played, from piercing stares to steely lines. Who could have guessed that the teenager once battered by fate would become an icon that made all of Hollywood bow in awe? Leaving the Marines, Gene didn't opt for an easy path. He dove into journalism and radio, where he fed his passion for storytelling through words and sound waves. But destiny had grander plans. Acting called to him, and he answered with every ounce of fervor he possessed. At the Pasadena Playhouse, he met Dustin Hoffman, two young men branded by their own instructor as least likely to succeed. That criticism didn't crush them, it poured fuel on their burning ambition. Gene started with small roles on stage and television, honing his craft step by step, like a jeweler meticulously shaping a precious gem. Then Bonnie and Clyde hit like a whirlwind. The role of Buck Barrow wasn't just a turning point, it earned him his first Oscar nomination. He poured his heart into every frame, bringing depth and authenticity to that complex character, leaving audiences unable to look away. But that was only the beginning of a monumental journey. Gene's performance in The French Connection was a tempest that swept him to the pinnacle. That steadfast, tough-as-nails cop didn't just grip viewers' hearts, it clinched him the Oscar for Best Actor. That triumph cemented him as a leader, a master who breathed life into intricate tales. Then he transformed into Lex Luthor in Superman, a villain both sinister and charismatic, setting the benchmark for every comic book antagonist to come. Years later, Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven saw him embody the ruthless Sheriff Little Bill, earning yet another Oscar. Gene wasn't just good. He was an artist who lived and died for each role, preparing meticulously, immersing himself fully to achieve raw truth. But that dedication came at a cost. A perfectionist, he set sky-high standards for himself and everyone around him, creating a pressure cooker atmosphere on set. Young actors often trembled before him, yet it was he who inspired them, shaping an entire generation with his relentless commitment. Can you feel that power? Gene's personal life, however, told a different tale, one of warmth and depth. He married Betsy Arakawa, a talented pianist, in 1991. They turned their backs on Hollywood, settling in Santa Fe, New Mexico, to live a simple yet meaningful life. People said their bond was as profound as a perfect melody, with Betsy as Gene's steadfast companion and rock. United by a love for literature and art, they built a private world where Gene painted and wrote, keeping his creative flame alive even in retirement. But fate wouldn't relent. On February 26, 2025, Gene passed away from heart disease, high blood pressure, and late-stage Alzheimer's, mere days after Betsy succumbed to the hantavirus. An era closed, leaving tributes pouring in from across the globe, And one lingering question: what would Diane Lane say? Diane Lane entered this story like a distinct beam of light. Born on January 22, 1965, in New York, she grew up surrounded by art, with a mother who was a nightclub singer and Playboy model, and a father who was a drama coach and taxi driver. Though her family fractured early, she clung to her passion. At 6, she took the stage at La Mama, then traveled the world with Medea. By 13, a little romance with Laurence Olivier thrust her into the spotlight. He dubbed her the new Grace Kelly. Time magazine hailed her as the next big star, and that pressure didn't break her. She shone in The Outsiders and Rumblefish alongside Tom Cruise, Matt Dillon, and Patrick Swayze. But the defining moment came when she met Gene in Unfaithfully Yours. They collaborated, and on screen, everything seemed flawless. But behind the scenes, what was quietly unfolding? Rumors of tension between them began to swirl, though Diane never confirmed them. When Gene passed, she finally spoke. But why had she stayed silent so long? Was it a tribute or a dark secret kept under wraps? Join me as we uncover it. Are you ready? Their first collaboration was in Unfaithfully Yours, where Diane played Gene's daughter. By then, Gene was no longer a struggling artist. He'd cemented his status with Oscar-winning roles in The French Connection and Unforgiven. He was also renowned for his stunning turn as Lex Luthor in Superman. Gene was famous for one thing above all, the key to his stellar career: a strict work ethic and deep devotion to his craft. Directors and co-stars often described him as a perfectionist, expecting absolute commitment from everyone on set. While admirable, Gene's drive for perfection often sparked tension, and even younger, less experienced actors felt the weight of meeting his lofty standards. Astonishingly, one person wasn't intimidated by his reputation: Diane Lane. Perhaps because, even as a young actress, she'd worked with Hollywood's greatest, from Coppola to Olivier. She'd faced stars with near-flawless habits and never shied away. So instead of shrinking under Gene's expectations, she absorbed his approach to acting, treating it as a masterclass in screen performance. Diane excelled so well that their dynamic in Unfaithfully Yours seemed a perfect blend of mentor and protégé, wrapped in professional synergy. Gene wasn't always seen as warm on set, but he admired actors serious about their work, and Diane delivered. She showcased discipline and natural talent, earning all the recognition she deserved. Though their interactions were highly professional, they shared a mutual understanding. Gene never clashed with Diane, or if he did, it was never reported. Yet, given his frequent conflicts with others, one might expect this young actress cross swords with him at least once. Gene tolerated no laziness or lack of preparation, a trait that often terrified younger co-stars. Still, in recent interviews, Diane has said she learned volumes from the veterans she worked with. But can those interviews reveal the full truth? After all, Diane's acting style starkly contrasts with Gene's, his methodical, precise, sometimes imposing approach versus her natural, fluid ease in conveying emotion. Despite this divide, it's what made their on-screen father-daughter bond so captivating. After starring in Unfaithfully Yours, Diane grew as an actress, tackling tougher roles that showcased her true range. By the late 1980s, she faced setbacks as some films fell short of expectations. Yet, undeterred, she refused to fade from the industry. When her projects underperformed, she stepped back, clearly refining her skills, then roared back in the 90s. Her role in Unfaithful marked a turning point. Effortlessly portraying a woman spiraling in an illicit affair, she delivered a career-defining performance that earned an Oscar nod. With that success, she reclaimed her place among Hollywood's most gifted actresses. Diane has always called Unfaithfully Yours one of her most treasured experiences, saying it was an absolute honor to learn from someone like Gene Hackman, who profoundly shaped her approach to the craft. Even after Gene retired from acting in the early 2000s, he left a legacy of unforgettable performances and well-trained rising stars who continually admired him, Diane included. Meanwhile, she thrived across indie films, major studio projects, and TV roles, relentlessly proving why she belongs in the industry. Looking at Gene and Diane's on-screen journey, it's impossible not to see how Hollywood often unites talents from different generations to create timeless, unforgettable moments. The truth about Gene Hackman and Diane Lane is that Hollywood has long been fertile ground for rumors, personal and professional alike. Nearly everything said in this town gets exaggerated or outright fabricated. One such tale revolves around Gene Hackman and Diane Lane. Whispers persist about their working relationship, and perhaps something more. It's said that after their 1984 collaboration on Unfaithfully Yours, rumors of tension between the veteran star and the rising actress spread like wildfire. On screen, they were flawless, and people noticed their chemistry might outshine Gene's pairings with other stars. This sparked questions. Was Hackman truly harsh with Lane? Did they ever clash at some point? Or was this just another case of Hollywood blowing a small story out of proportion? At the height of her fame, Diane was known for a composure and maturity beyond her years, paired with a natural acting prowess. Meanwhile, Gene was like a towering, Oscar-winning force, renowned for his uncompromising attitude and exacting demands, not just of himself, but of everyone he worked with. Many who collaborated with him respected his talent and profound dedication, yet whispers lingered that he could be tough and intimidating on set. So when these two were cast together, the industry buzzed with curiosity about how they'd mesh. Could Gene genuinely see Diane as a protégé, or would his rigorous approach breed too much friction between them? That was the question on everyone's mind. Reports claim Gene was indeed strict with Diane during filming. Some crew members noted he was stern and unyielding, holding her to the same high bar he set for himself. One source even insisted Gene loved pushing young actors to their limits to draw out their best. But many found his methods less gentle and more overwhelming. None of this was ever confirmed by Diane, who's never truly said whether she had issues with Gene. Whenever pressed with such questions, she deftly sidestepped, hinting she had no desire to delve deeper into the topic. That should have ended the discussion, but in Hollywood, speculation and rumor is lifeblood. Over time, the media played a key role in keeping these tales alive. Even without a word from Diane to fuel them, people began filling in the blanks, crafting narratives that amplified the gossip. Headlines speculated whether Gene undervalued Diane's remarkable gifts, or if personal clashes arose from her feeling disrespected. Through the years, Diane never fed these rumors. Whenever asked about Gene, she spoke with respect, consistently praising his talent and professionalism. In one interview, she said, "Working with Gene was like a learning experience for me. The man was truly dedicated, and you couldn't help but respect that. When I started with him, I was young and eager to soak up so much from someone as seasoned as he was." That statement's vagueness, neither confirming nor dispelling public suspicions of strain, left room for interpretation. One thing's certain, if they had any rough moments, Diane wouldn't air them publicly. When Gene retired in the early 2000s, it shocked many. His departure felt like the end of an era. Yet Diane Lane, one of the stars who'd worked with him, kept rising in the industry. For years, she stayed mum about her full experience with Gene, sparking endless curiosity and conjecture. After his final role in Welcome to Mooseport playing a former US president, Gene announced he was leaving Hollywood. In retreat, he lived quietly far from the spotlight. In an Empire magazine interview, he shared that he retired simply due to health issues, adding that his last stress test showed his heart was no longer up to acting's demands. Yet as Gene embraced seclusion, Diane's career soared. She starred in 2003's Under the Tuscan Sun, playing a writer on a journey of self-discovery in Italy. A hit that reminded everyone of her ability to bring complex characters to life with depth and authenticity. From there, she churned out stellar performances, ignoring the rumors swirling around her. Diane was cautious, steering clear of discussions that might force her to bare her soul about working with Gene Hackman. This silence fueled speculation. After all, she wasn't one to clam up. She'd spoken openly about other co-stars, so why was Gene different? Industry insiders offered theories. Some saw her silence as proof of her professionalism, keeping personal interactions private. Others believed their collaboration held challenges she'd rather not revisit. Without a sign from Diane, it all remained rumor. Many assumed she'd had a major falling out with Gene on set, awaiting an apology or reconciliation from him. But with Gene in seclusion post-retirement and Diane staying discreet, the public gleaned little concrete detail. Some thought any differences were settled privately. Others figured they'd simply moved on without further contact. This facet of their relationship stayed as shadowy as the rest. Neither side acknowledged or addressed it publicly. Even after Gene Hackman's death in 2025, countless actors paid tribute and shared stories of their time with him. Yet Diane Lane remained silent, offering no public statement or comment on his passing. Now her silence only deepens the mystery around her choice, leaving fans wondering about the real reason behind it. Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's bodies were found at their Santa Fe home on February 26, 2025. Betsy had died days earlier from hantavirus-related lung syndrome, a rare disease typically spread by rodents. Gene, passing about a week later, succumbed to late-stage Alzheimer's, hypertension, and atherosclerotic heart disease. Given his cognitive decline, it's believed he was unaware of his wife's death. Their deaths were tangled in complexity, made harder by the discovery of their deceased dog. The family quickly requested the autopsy reports be sealed for privacy, an unusual move in New Mexico, where such records are typically public, adding yet another layer of intrigue to their tragic end. Still, news of their passing moved the world to tears, and tributes flooded in from across the entertainment industry. Actors and directors who'd worked with Gene spoke of his versatility and cinematic impact. Even Nathan Lane, his Birdcage co-star, declared Gene his favorite actor, saying he'd told him so every day they worked together. Gene's family also issued a statement expressing their grief and emphasizing that beyond being a celebrated actor, he was a beloved family man who always put his loved ones first. To them, Gene was adored by millions worldwide for his brilliant career, but to them, he was a true grandfather and father. For years, Diane stayed quiet about her time with Gene on set. Hollywood, however, is never straightforward. Rumors spread like wildfire. Gene was tough on Diane, pushing her to the brink during filming. Whispers hinted at buried tensions and clashes. But Diane held her tongue. When Gene retired in 2000 due to health issues, retreating to Santa Fe with Betsy, Diane soared with Under the Tuscan Sun and Unfaithful, the latter earning her an Oscar nod. She always praised Gene, calling him a cherished mentor, but never went deeper. Why? On February 26, 2025, Gene passed from illness, shortly after Betsy's death from hantavirus, a tragic, mysterious end. The world honored him, but Diane stayed silent until she suddenly broke it. "You never caught him acting. Real, profound, with a touch of danger," she said, dispelling rumors with reverence. But why the wait? What truly happened between them? A mentor-student bond, or a secret she kept close? Dig deeper with me. What do you think? Share your thoughts, and don't miss more Hollywood mysteries. More Hollywood mysteries. More Hollywood mysteries.